Hi guys, welcome to Learn How To, and this week we are looking at isometric drawing as a 3D drawing technique. So far we've had a look at drawing some simple shapes, three-dimensional shapes, and a few more complicated ones where we had the holes punched out, which we had on this sheet here. Today we're going to start looking at how to add some colour to our shapes using what we call flat tone shading or rendering. Usually we use the word rendering when we're applying a more sort of three-dimensional effect. So for example, if you wanted to make it look like glass or concrete, would be a physical effect you were trying to add to it. So probably shading is the more appropriate word to use for this. And when we talk about tone, we're talking about the intensity or the density of the pressure that you put on with your hand in terms of getting that colour on there. So you're only going to pick one colour per shape. Now I'm actually going to start with pencil shading to start with, just to have a practice. And if you want to tune into some of my other videos, you can find out how to practice that pressure with your hand by doing what's called a tonal scale, where you go from a light tone right the way through to a dark tone, and then vice versa from dark to light. Okay, so I'm not showing you that one in this video, but if you want to tune into the other one, you'll be able to find that on there if you want to have a practice first. It's always good to have a practice before you go on to your final shape. Okay, so we're going to go back to our original cube, okay, which was this one here. And when we're toning, it's always best to make sure that your pencil is still fairly sharp. A HB, if you're going to use a pencil shading, HB pencil's fine, or anything even a bit softer, down to about a B would be okay. And then anything softer than that would normally be used for for artwork. But for this kind of drawing, so a HB or a B will be fine. Now, we normally look at the views in terms of surfaces, okay? So if we imagine that we have the light or the sunlight shining down, let's just draw in a little sun here, a little smiley face, and he's beaming down. As you can see, we have a top surface, and we've got the left-hand surface here, and we've got the front view or front surface, okay? And in other drawing principles, we'd class these as plan, front view, and an end view, okay? So we're going to look at where the light is going to hit that surface first. And we're not going to worry about graduated toning. It's not going to change shade as we colour across the surface. It's going to remain the same tone. So if the light was hitting this block or this cube, the lighty surface is going to be the top, okay? So this is where we would keep this the lightest tone. Now, when you're doing this for the first time, it's very easy to start shading in this sort of fashion, okay? And I used to do it myself, and you end up with curves, yeah? Which isn't really the most effective way to tone. What we want to try to do is move our arm, whole of our lower arm, at the same time, okay, from our elbow, okay, without moving it like windscreen wipers in an arc sort of fashion. So it's got to move straight. So we move our whole hand with the pencil at the same time. If you are feeling a bit nervous, like I do sometimes for the first time, you can get a rule or ruler and place that up against the edge. Sometimes that stops you from going over the lines. That sometimes helps. Or you can even use your finger. And if it's more comfortable to turn the page around as you move, then do so, okay? So whatever's more comfortable for you. So turn the page to where it's most comfortable for you to move your arm and your hand at the angle of the line that you're going to be shading up against. Because remember, this is isometric, and we're trying to keep it in line with these 30-degree lines, okay? So very, very gently, okay? We'll use the ruler for this technique on this first surface. Keeping my pencil low down. If you notice, I'm holding my pencil higher up. I'm not holding it down here. as if I was going to write, I'm holding it further back. That allows you then to keep the pencil lead lower, okay, and flatter against the surface of the paper. Okay, so away we go. So nice and light, not too much pressure, keeping that angle the same. Taking care that we don't go over this edge here. And if we move the ruler to this side now, just close to the edge, you can just lightly go back over that, just to make sure we've filled in any of those gaps. Just check that we've gone up against that edge there that we have. So nice light surface, not too heavy. Okay, so that was our light surface. Okay, our next one is going to be wherever the sunlight or the light hits the surface next. So as we can see, if it's over here on the top left hand corner, it's going to be naturally be this one, because this is next closest to that light source. This is further away. Okay, so this surface is going to be a medium tone, so we're going to press a little bit heavier. Okay, so again, if you feel more comfortable in turning the page or paper around so that the angle of the line is more comfortable for your hand there, then do so. Put my ruler up against this edge, but this time I'm going to press a little darker. And if you notice, I'm not quite going over the other edge at the top at this very moment in time. Just take myself backwards so I'll fill in any of the white gaps that I've missed. And if it's more comfortable, turn the whole thing around so you can bring your ruler down to this edge. Get your angle pretty much the same as your arm. And then you can fill in. But what I'm not doing is changing my direction. Okay. I'm not going to, what I haven't done is gone that way and then that way and crisscrossed it. Okay. Slightly slipped over that edge a little bit there. I just brought my ruler away. Just remove that bit. Okay, so next stage then is obviously doing the last surface. Now this is the furthest away from the light, so this is going to be the darkest surface. Deep dark. Excuse the crayon rolling everywhere. Okay, so again, onto our last one. Get yourself comfortable. Get you in a position where you can tone. And again, this is harder still, a little bit firmer with your pencil, but not that hard that you're going to scratch through the paper. Working our way to the bottom. Okay, turn it around. Again, just bring that up against there. And blend that in to match the rest of my toning. Okay, but you can clearly see that there is a difference when we bring it back round. There's a clear difference between the surfaces, light, medium and dark. Okay, and that's the effect you're trying to achieve. If you have accidentally gone over the edges slightly, you can always shield that edge with your ruler, and like so. Get your eraser and just rub down that edge gently to remove any stray lines or stray shading. Okay, so that's your first one in pencil. Okay, now we're going to move on to looking at using pencil crayon. So it's exactly the same, and again you want to get yourself a good quality set of pencil crayons, like Crayola, Staedtler. They are pretty good. Ones that have got fairly soft leads that blend and tone easily. I'm using these quite fairly high quality Beryl Charisma crayons. These ones here, Charisma Colour. Had these quite a while now. Fairly expensive, these ones, but they're nice and soft, and they give a very, very high quality effect when you're toning. Okay, it's easier, they don't scratch. But as I say, you don't have to pay a massive amount to get reasonably good quality crayons. The Crayola ones are just as good. Okay, so let's go with, turn these crayons around so they're not rolling around. Let's go with this red, and we'll start doing our tower block. So exactly the same again, same principle, keeping a light surface on the top. Remember, we are using crayon this time, so if we do go over the edges slightly and slip, it's going to be harder to rub out. So just think about what you're doing. Nice and gentle on the top. Turn it around. Finalise the opposite edge. But keeping it in that same direction, not changing directions. Next surface nearest the sunlight, which is going to this left side. Again, quite a long stretch, this one. Then moving my whole arm from my elbow, keeping my, not curving my hand. Turn around, go the opposite way. Use my ruler where I need it. Change my angle slightly, that's a bit more comfortable. Just have a little look, is that a bit darker than that one? Maybe a shade darker. A little bit more dense. And so on. Yeah, definitely can tell the difference between those two. And then our last surface. Down a little bit. Darker still. Just even that out. Okay, so again, taking your time, making sure it's really, really high quality, because that's what we're after. Just double check you haven't missed any areas. Okay, perfect. Okay, let's go on to our last one for today. So let's pick a different colour. Let's go for a nice blue. And we'll do our third shape. Now, with this third shape, as you can see, we've got more than just the 3 surfaces. So we've got top, left and right. You can see here we've got the top, plan view, left side, and this front surface. However, we have also got this cutout piece at the bottom, okay? So the principle is, if the surface is on the same plane as the others, it's the same tone. So for example, the only other surface we've got to do is this inside edge here. It's on the same angle as this one here. So if you look at the same, it's on the same position, as in it's facing the same direction as our medium tone. So these two are going to be both medium, okay? And all the rest should remain the same. And that applies to any of the more complicated shapes that we're going to come on to do in the next video on this one here, okay? So if we were looking at the A here, we can see we've got a top view, that'll be light, left side will be medium, front of the A will be dark, but then we've also got the inner right side of the A. Both of those are facing the same way as the left side here, so those will be medium. And then we've also got the top surface of the hole where the A has been cut out in the middle. That's on the same plane as, or same level surface plane as the very top. So again, this would be light, the same as that one. Okay, right then, let's go back to our final shape for today. Again, remembering, get your angles right, get your position, get comfy. Use your ruler if you need to, or your finger, whatever's easiest for you. Nice and light. Make sure there are white gaps. Turn it around. Position. Last bit. Okay, so there's our light surface. Now onto our medium on the left side. A little bit heavier. Blends nicely. Can I see a definite difference? Yes, I can. Don't forget, this inner one is the same. So we need to do this little bit here. In, and then our final surface, the front, which is furthest away from the light, so that is going to be dark tone. And again, it's up to you which way you want to do this. I tend to tone the longer surfaces, well, whichever way is the longest edge, in that direction, so following it down from the top. That looks neater than me going up and down there. Doesn't really matter, there's no right or wrong in that, but it's just preference. So I'm going to start here. This is the darkest view, so nice and steady on that top edge. Get the density that we want. Okay, turn it around, finish off that bit. bit. Turn the ruler upside down. So. Again, just if you think it needs to be a little bit darker, just go back over, using my finger this time just to make sure I don't go over any of those edges. And so, okay, a little bit slipped over that edge there. So again, if you put your ruler up against the edge, use a nice clean eraser, you can just sharpen that up like so. Okay, all flat tone done for today. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're having fun with this, and tune into my next one where I'm going to render the more complicated shapes with flat tone. Okay, bye for now.